So welcome to our panel. I would like to ask each of you to kindly introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about, just briefly, just about 1 minute, about the work that you're doing and the type of events that you're curating. Radha, would you mind starting and kicking us off, please? Radha.
So I'm Raha Moradi. I'm a managing director of AIM Summit. We're a conference, one of the leading conferences, very much institutional focused on alternative investments. We host conferences in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Geneva, Mumbai, so we're very much global based. However, in the recent editions and the growing interest now on blockchain and AI and crypto and fintech, from the institution side, we've realized the interest of having a fully dedicated day on this space. Okay. So this is where we come in.
That's a great starting point, thank you. Yes, why not? Sherif, please introduce yourself. Love the name, by the way. If there's any problem, go see Sherif.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sherif ElHusseini, and I work as the Chief Operating Officer of CPI Financial.
Sherif, microphone.
And it's not really a financial company, it's just a financial media house. And we have different publications, but we realize the role of events to support our publication in different sectors, the finance, the banking, and definitely investment. And we host different events in Dubai, mainly. One of them is Wealth Arabia, which is dedicated to alternative investment, including blockchain and artificial intelligence. And we're hosting the next one on the 19th of November. Perhaps we can see some of you guys there.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to ask you a little bit more about that shortly. Before I ask the next speaker to introduce themselves, can I just ask if anyone knows or has seen Reinhold Lang, please send him straight to this chair. I have some questions to ask. But in the meantime, Hadi, would you mind introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do?
Yes, sure. My name is Hadi Malaeb. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Agora Group in Dubai. Agora is not typically an event organizer. We are connectors. We connect international investment opportunities to a pool of investors in the Arab world. And we help also international companies to enter the MENA region as far as opening up markets and so on. We work a lot in the blockchain space. We are the organizer of an event called the Global Blockchain Congress. The 4th edition is coming up in December 8th to the 10th. And the focus of the event is to raise funds for blockchain startups.
Okay, but it's not just the startups that are really very active in the MENA region. So actually I was reading about Microsoft, IBM, Nestle, Emirates, all have some sort of blockchain-based presence. Do they come and talk about it at your events?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the event that we host are, platform for the entire industry to communicate and to discuss issues that and challenges facing the industry. Recently, or in the upcoming event, we have interest from Amar, who is the largest real estate developer, because they're tokenizing their assets and they want to talk to.
Have they announced that?
They have made an announcement. Yes.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, so they're huge in real estate. Absolutely. What have they said they're going to do?
They just want to talk to the industry. They want to talk to the leaders in the industry, and they want to the entire blockchain community to know about that endeavor.
Well, invite them to come to your events. Yalla, it's important. Raha, tell us a little bit, if I may, Raha, I'll ask you a question about alternative investment classes. I know your community care about that, but have they come yet to the belief that crypto assets form part of their portfolio as an alternative investment class?
Absolutely, and that's why we created a whole dedicated day on discussing various different digital assets and
when is the next one, by the way?
The conference is next month actually in Dubai.
Take every chance to plug that you can.
Absolutely, sales pitch. 18th, 19th of November in Dubai.
Okay.
And Mumbai in March.
Oh, Mumbai, you're doing Mumbai as well?
Yes,
cool.
We're launching in Mumbai.
So that's going to be an interesting focus, bearing in mind the legal regulations around crypto. It's going to be more blockchain.
We won't necessarily focus on that in the Mumbai conference. It's again, like I said, we're very much an alternative investment conference. However, in the Dubai edition, we do have a date a day on digital assets and cryptocurrency and fintech in particular, because obviously that's a huge interest back home in the whole fintech arena. A lot of the startups, fintech startups, are using UAE as a platform for tapping into the whole MENA region. So you're looking at Middle East, Africa, South Asia. And that's an $8 trillion industry, and it's a home to 3 billion people.
So in London, in the UK in particular, we've enjoyed an amazing 10-year sort of rise of fintech in a way that almost allows us to rival Silicon Valley. Well, it does in investment, actually. We actually equal in fintech, or sometimes better than Silicon Valley in fintech investments. But even so, I don't think we really think about truly addressing the global market. And there's a lot of people who've been coming to us because we care about fintech and said, are you aware that Sharia fintech is this huge market? And it brings some of the ethical values of Sharia finance to fintech. Yeah. Is that the kind of thing people are talking about?
We're discussing that next month. We actually have quite a few global leaders who will be creating a panel.
Has anyone done a fintech majlis yet? We should do
That's
one.
A great idea. We're going to have it next month in Dubai.
Awesome. See, you heard it here first. I love
one thing I do want to, Eric, just sort of highlight on the stats that I mentioned with fintech. The 3 billion population of MENA, 70% of them have either limited access or no access to any financial services. So this is why it's a great investment opportunity, and this is why people focus on emerging markets.
Okay, that's a huge addressable market. Sherif, let me ask you about, I know that you actually have a broad range of publications. Some of them are for, say, the high net worth industry, and some of them are more broad for industry, for banking and things like that. And of course, you run a lot of events. But in order to have a successful, if you like, fintech or blockchain industry, you really do need a strong service provider, professional service provider capacity. How is that developing? And I know DIFC have been doing some good work in that field.
Well, from our end as publishing and media house, what we try to do is to create a platform where we invite both the clients and the suppliers, the service providers, to share their views, and also bring in the regulatory offices to basically help create the synergy and to develop this industry.
Does the regulator come?
Yes, they do.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Actually, we've heard some good things from the region about a cautiously positive approach from the regulator. Would that be a good characterization?
Well, I would say yes.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very cool. So the other thing is there much interest from, say, the high net worth community in things like crypto assets and this class of asset?
They have definitely shown interest in our last event, which was Wealth Arabia 2018. The blockchain was really one of the topics that was, or how to say, received a lot of attention.
Hadi.
Our entire event, the Global Blockchain Congress, is basically an investment-driven event. It's a blockchain-specific capital raise platform. In the last 3 events, we were able to raise more than $100 million for blockchain startups. The investors that are coming to these events are international investors, but we're seeing a lot of interest from local investors. There's a lot of appetite right now for investing in digital assets. The amount of investors that keep showing up from year to year, and the amount of projects that are coming there to meet with these investors, is a proof that the atmosphere or the environment for crypto investment in the UAE in particular is becoming more and more attractive. And of course, investment in any type of investment or any type of especially startup initiative doesn't happen in a vacuum. The entire startup ecosystem in the UAE has been growing very aggressively. I mean, in the first 6 months of this year, we've seen a growth of about 66% from last year on startup funding, a total of around $471 million in the first 6 months of 2019.
Wow.
This is spread around, I think, 239 startups backed by about 130 institutions. And the UAE is the leading destination in the MENA region.
I'm going to come back and ask you some questions about that, but I'm just going to put out a last call for Bruce Porter or Reinhold. If you're in the room, please make yourself known. Join the stand. If anybody knows of them, tweet them, text them, demand to know why they're not here. Unless, of course, they've got a good excuse, which is traffic is usually the best one in London, isn't it? But just to say that kind of growth. Right, 60% in the level of investment going into projects and funding startups and companies in that space, right? So I know from having curated that kind of growth in London over a much longer period, the big hit is on talent, right? Where does the talent come from? Now, there's no question the UAE has a pretty attractive lifestyle proposition for international talent to come to it. But is there much work being done to develop indigenous talent? Do you know of activities? For example, computer science graduates. Are there enough of them? Any universities leading in that field?
Definitely. The UAE has invested a lot in the education sector, and they have developed quite a strong base right now, and also that supports the UAE Emiratization drive that's been going now literally strength to strength.
Describe what Emiratization is.
Emiratization is like for certain jobs, they need to replace expats with local talents.
Really? So that's a positive discrimination towards locals to develop your indigenous capacity, is that right?
And definitely encouraging them to take role into the marketplace, because, it hasn't been the case of 20 years. I've been there for 20 years and things have changed a lot. So they are creating the opportunity and definitely encouraging them to step into the market.
And Raha, can I come back to that amazing increase in investment, right? Where's it come from? That 60% growth in investment. Who are the LPs? Who are the...
It's the whole region. So like I said, as Hadi mentioned, in terms of the percentages he shared, on the fintech side, 62% of the deals made for the whole MENA region was accounted for by UAE investors. So again, we're looking at, institutional investors, you're looking at family offices, you're looking at the sovereigns. And on a blockchain level, primarily the focus on blockchain is still on a government level. You're seeing a lot of initiatives. Recently, I don't have much details about it, but I read recently that Dubai, for example, wants to launch the first blockchain court. It's that kind of initiatives and effort that instills confidence globally in that region.
That's very pioneering.
Yeah.
Is that a DIFC initiative, do you think? I mention this because I know you have some connection. Actually, do you want to say what that connection is with DIFC?
We are a subsidiary of DIFC.
Okay.
CPI Financial is a subsidiary of
Actually,
DIFC.
describe what DIFC is, because some people haven't.
It stands for Dubai International Financial Center.
Which actually has a court as well. It's a regulator,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's obviously a separate part that's stakeholder.
The court only takes care of the companies registered and working under the IFC umbrella.
But I really like this idea of a blockchain court. So that's interesting. What kind of legal... would we have blockchain divorce lawyers, do you think? Do you think that's interesting?
I have no idea what that is.
Would they have the power to demand the private keys for settlement?
Funny you mentioned that, because one of our sponsor in our previous event had a wedding platform on blockchain. So
wow, tell me about this.
Just for people who are getting married, they can go into a blockchain platform to choose all the suppliers. And by recommending certain suppliers, you earn some crypto coin that you can exchange later on or can gift. And one of our investors suggested a divorce platform as well, because 50% of marriages ended up in divorce. So
this is pioneering stuff. I really like this idea, isn't it? It's a great idea, isn't it? You could go and have a smart contract created for a 10-year marriage. It's not auto-renew, and it's, it finishes. You don't recommend it?
No. Just a quick note on the fintech. From the figures that I mentioned, the UAE is the top source of funding for the startups, as we mentioned earlier, followed by Egypt and Lebanon. And the top vertical where these startups are is by far fintech.
But is it private family or institutional deployment of capital into fintech?
I think both.
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 We don't know the balance, do we?
Sovereigns is private, it's family.
Microphone. Give her a microphone.
Sorry.
Come on, guys. You've got to be on it.
Sovereign wealth funds, institutions,
Right.
family offices.
I like also the idea that sovereigns are deploying some of their capital into the space, because traditionally their job has been to protect the assets of whichever kingdom they represent. But so this is because it is a little bit more of a risky asset class, or is it now maturing to be less risky?
I think it's maturing to be less risky. And I think, a couple of years ago, when we held conferences and discussions in this space, the question was if. But that's no longer the case. It's a question of what and when. So everyone wants to be a part of it. I mean, recently, a digital currency owned by Saudi Arabia called Abra. The Central Bank of Saudi Arabia, for example, announced recently that they want to take Abra globally. They had their first pilot run in January on cross-border transaction between UAE and Saudi. So yeah, the sovereigns are getting involved.
See, I thought that was an amazing piece of news that kind of most of us missed. This cross-border transaction was pretty pivotal, and I'm not suggesting that it could, be of equal importance to Libra, but could it?
Perhaps.
Especially now that Libra is having challenges. We're going to be talking a little bit about Libra and other, larger cryptos. What have Saudi Arabia said their plans are for Abra?
That with the pilot run and the success of the cross-border transaction, their plans are to take Abra globally.
To reduce friction in trade?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
A personal opinion on this is if the Saudis are able to start trading oil using this medium, that can create a lot of problem for the dollar. Because, dollar right now is the de facto currency for global trade in oil. And if there is a potential replacement for that, it can, blow a significant, it can produce a significant blow for the trade in dollars.
There is sufficient volume and capacity there. So what you're saying there, let's just understand that, is that the potential for the dominance of the US dollar in global trade to be perhaps equaled or have an alternative choice by using an oil or asset-backed token issued by someone like Saudi Arabia. That's interesting.
Yeah, most of the discussion we have at our event is the fact that all centralized government or centralized currencies are afraid of the effect of Bitcoin. And there's a drive to try to limit adoption as much as possible to preserve the status quo. So anything that will be done on a large scale would hamper that and will give more adoption for digital currencies.
I can't wait to see what happens there, because the last time a nation tried to back its digital currency with oil-based assets, it was Venezuela with the petro. And the first thing happened was that the US government wrote this amazing, actually, can I just say, a beautifully written executive order clearly demonstrating a huge grasp of the topic, describing how no American citizen is even allowed to think about the petro, let alone own any of them, which is an interesting, powerful move by a national government seeking to protect the dominance of the US dollar, isn't it? Well, it's quite interesting. I think there may be also political reasons for that. I wonder what their approach would be to Saudi Arabia doing something similar. That's definitely a topic. Please, when you put that on your agenda, I want to come and hear that. Next month. I love it. That's a promise. And then figure out who the speakers are for that. Now, we don't have much longer. We've got to try and catch up. So is there anything that... please, would you mind tell us, each of you, your next event and why we should be there? Go Raha.
Well, the next event is Dubai, 18th, 19th of November. What I do want to add is, as an organizer, especially in this space, barriers of entry in this space, blockchain, AI, fintech, is relatively low. So actually, as an organizer, it makes our jobs a little bit more crucial in this sort of ecosystem. by making sure that we have a stringent vetting process on who can and cannot showcase their products across these institutions and family offices. And because most conferences, it's pay to play. For example, in AIM Summit, every single edition will attract thousands of applicants. And unfortunately, we decline over 60%.
You turn down
60%, which I can
those that
appreciate.
apply
Most conferences
to
are not in a position to do that because obviously it hits your bottom lines and P&L. But that's the DNA of AIM Summit. That's been our success story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait to apply and be vetted to see if I can come. This could be cool. Sherif, please tell us about your next event.
Our next event will be Wealth Arabia 2019, which is actually overlapping with the event here. We're like running.
It's all in the family. It's fine.
I'm actually going to try to recommend to push it by a few days.
Good man. You heard it here.
Well, it's again, Wealth Arabia is a platform where the high net worth individuals and their representatives meet with wealth managers and the industry leaders. So they bring in new investment opportunity, alternative investments, and the discussion of how can the region benefit from this new trend, which is the family offices. And these guys are, always looking for something. I mean, there's never enough investment opportunities. There's always new things coming. And our duty from the media side is to try to bring the new trends and the new ideas and put all of them in the same platform to discuss and see how they move forward from that. We're just facilitator, basically.
Excellent. And Hadi, same from yourself in the Agora Group. What have you got next for us?
Sure. So the next event is the 4th edition of the Global Blockchain Congress, December 8th to the 10th. More than 100 investors, 20 to 25 blockchain projects that are looking to raise funds. This is purely an investment-driven event. The focus is on pre-arranged one-to-one meeting between investors that are looking to invest and projects that are looking for funds. We've raised more than $100 million in the first 3 editions. We're looking forward to expand that tremendously, hopefully in the 4th edition.
Fantastic. I'm sorry we don't have time for questions because we have to try and catch up. We started a little bit late, but please put your hand together for our very first panel and for opening today. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.